Right, that's it. We are live. Well, until we get taken down, this is live. Right? Welcome back to we'll never do this again. Another lockdown All Stars MMA podcast. Let me just check that I've got audio through this. Yeah, we're good. Right, we're all systems go. Welcome back to another All Stars MMA podcast. If you're wanting to interact in the comments, get onto the All Stars podcast page on Facebook and put all your comments in there. So we'll get that out of the way because it'll go across on so many different platforms. But if you want to interact, do it on the All Stars podcast page on Facebook. Danny Mitchell, please introduce our guest.
Hi everyone. Today we're joined by Mr. Dean Garnett. He runs Aspire Combat Sport Academy over in Liverpool, doing some great things with MMA coaching. And we're out in Italy. We're in Italy. We were last together coaching. Yeah, at the IMAFs. Some really good stuff going off there. Obviously today we're going to get. If you follow Dean on Instagram, make sure you follow him. He's well into, the conspiracy side of things. So we're going to delve into that today. So if you're closed-minded, you should probably turn off now, or you'll be crying. But yeah, we'll talk a bit of MMA first before we get into we get too deep. We'll just ease the viewers in. So What's happening over there at your gym, mate? How's everything going? Obviously, we're in lockdown, so there's no classes at the minute. But how's things been going in general?
I mean, just before the gym went into lockdown, it was the busiest it's ever been, and it was all looking so positive for us, mate. I've collated all the fights we've had this year. We've had a good start, 17-2 so far.
That's really good.
Start of the year, and we're taking good fights. We don't take easy fights at our gym. Anyone who said we do, they're not telling the truth. So it's been going really well, mate. I think the sixth form stuff we were doing, I'm really disappointed about losing the momentum with English MMA as well. I think that was really starting to look like something. There was big things coming English MMA's way. They were going to get loads of exposure at UFC. I think that would have been massive for them. They were going to get a little bit of funding from the likes of UFC potentially.
Yeah.
And I just think, that's the next step for the MMA world to start moving into the mainstream completely. So disappointed we lost some momentum with that, but what can we do with the current situation?
Yeah, everyone's in the same boat, aren't they? But you're doing a lot of good things over there. Like you say, you've got your sixth form program and a lot of stuff to do, developing coaching and stuff like the coaching programs that we spoke about before. They're really, really, really good. Really, it opened my eyes. When you started talking about the coaching models that Sport England use and all the Olympic sports are using. So it's definitely definitely good.
Before I went to uni, the sort of paradigm that I had on coaching was that it was simply a game of techniques, and it was who knows the most techniques. Obviously, I knew there was an element of what are your personality skills like, how do you communicate. Obviously, they're always going to affect any interpersonal work that you do. But once I went to uni and started really delving into how coaching can be more systematic and use systems to develop elite performers, or systems that you'd apply maybe to children who are developing motor skills, and how to adapt things so that when you're running your session, you're not just, because again, I used to do this, teaching sessions that are too advanced for the students. I used to do a lot of that. And what I would do was walk away thinking, they weren't very good. They couldn't learn very well. But who needs to do an omoplata on your second jiu-jitsu class? You probably don't do this. So for me, it helped me really make the whole process of coaching systematic. And just before this all went off, I was looking on getting onto a master's degree at John Moore's for September, so I might still do that. It's only one day a week. I don't really watch much telly. I'd much rather sit and research stuff and whatever else nowadays, because I know how much misinformation we're being hit with from mainstream organisations. So it's an ongoing journey, mate. But something I'm definitely looking forward to over the next few years is getting more and more into that, with it being there to blow wide open.
Yeah, definitely. That's a big thing for me. Like, everyone's looking at these. I know the IMAF have got their own syllabus, haven't they? They've got their own MMA syllabus and stuff like that. And You know, there were a time when I used to think that, like, oh, you know, what do you need? You need to know a sprawl, you need to know a jab, you need to know a leg kick, you know, all these things. But really, it just comes down to how you coach and, you know, how you like the approach rather than the techniques is the main part of it. So,
and that's it. I think guys like you, mate, and loads of other coaches that I know all over the UK that I work with, I think a lot of what you go and learn on a coaching degree, it is natural for people who are good people, persons. You know what I mean? If you're someone, like, there was a document that was put together by the Australian and US Olympic committees. They co-authored it on swimming, and it was what were the top 20 competencies of an elite coach, and it was the first few were all about emotional intelligence and emotional awareness.
Yeah.
So, you know, knowing the techniques is a given. You can get on YouTube and get the technique. So really now I see right through all that stuff. Any person who's committed lifelong to the sport will get the techniques. You know, it's more about that other stuff. How well can you build a relationship with an athlete? What rapport can you get with them, whether it's, you know, developing trust, co-orientation, like-mindedness, admiration. All that comes before loyalty. So anytime I hear people, you know, using loyalty as something to promote for a club, it doesn't sit well with me, because I just think that's not what sport's about, really. I don't want to be anyone's relative or dad. You know, I want to be a friend, of course, but I want to be a professional coach to them. I want to be someone who can take them on a journey that's tailored to their goals, whether they're a 4-year-old who can't open his own kiss package yet because his motor skills aren't there, or, you know, it's someone like Mokhiev who's pushing hard to be the best fighter in the world. So, yeah. It's exciting.
It's definitely interesting. Definitely. I mean, it opened my eyes. You know, I've read a few different. I read that Talent Lab book. I checked that out when we got back from Italy. That's really, really good, talking about there were basically people coaching Olympic sports who'd never even played that sport, and they were creating champions. They were creating gold medalists, and the coach themselves had never even played that particular sport, but they were so good at coaching from maybe another sport that was similar. They just moved that across.
Yeah.
Crazy,
well, that's it.
Crazy, really to see.
They're completely transferable coaching skills. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's two sets of knowledge a coach is meant to have. So it's sports specific knowledge and it's coaching pedagogy, which is basically
we need to get that down. We've spoke before, haven't we, about getting some qualifications together and stuff. But I'd be really interested in that, 100%. Like, getting on board with that.
Yeah, well, it will happen, mate. I think we will get back to it soon. What we need is obviously the level 1 to 3. The entry level to level 1 is a DBS check, out of the 8 in a corner, maybe some basic first aid, some safeguarding, you know, maybe how to run a warm up and how to do some games in the kids' classes. And that's in a coaching badge. You can do that in 2 days. You know, it cost 100 and something quid. Now we know we've got, at least we're safeguarding our children and we were exposing them to.
Yeah.
Then you've got the level 2, which is running your own class. Now, if you're running your own sessions, you should be able to engage properly in the coaching process, which is planned to do with you. And again, that might sound more simple than it is, but, you know, that sort of qualification, the assessments will be putting 4 sessions together that are linked and progressive. So it doesn't matter what it is, you know, it could be single legs for MMA and then progressing over 4 lessons or whatever. So that's the level 2 qualification, delivered sessions, which is about skill development. And then the level 3 is about elite athlete development. And that's where you start looking at the bigger picture. You know, what is the athlete's lifestyle? It's a more of a holistic approach. And then you have to be more... We're on the level 2. It's not necessarily about goal setting for individuals. It's about goal setting for a group. So you have to come up with a learning objective that you can achieve in 4 classes. But when you look at the level 3, the assessment is you've got to develop a year-long, periodised annual training programme that's broken into every stage, different stages within the year, so different training phases, we call them. Early preparation phases is like before you go into camp. Competition mode, which is your fight camp, and then obviously transition, what you do between, you know, finishing your fight and getting back into the gym. So it's good to look at those different phases and how you should approach those phases in terms of technical, tactical, physiological and psychological, because they all interact differently along that.
Definitely.
Do you know what I mean? So,
it's good. Really, looking forward to that getting rolled out, and definitely interesting times.
It'll change the game. If we want to be an Olympic sport, that's a must. We'll never be an Olympic sport without that. Sport England won't pay wages for coaches who have, demonstrated that they can, at least understand and can underpin these principles into their own coaching. So,
do you think it could be an Olympic sport then, or do you think we're like way, that's like, could that be in the next 8 years, or is that way beyond that?
No, from what I've seen, that's realistic. 8 years. We have to look at even the Olympics and sports in general. It's an entertainment industry, whatever way you want to look at it, and people will want to see MMA in the Olympics. Look at what the likes of Mocha Evan, Louis Lee Scott, can bring, and some of the other good amateurs that are coming up through the scene. People are going to want to see that on the Olympics as the sport comes more mainstream. So, no, I reckon it's achievable, mate, within 8 years. Therefore.
Yeah, we'll see. Because they tried to get rid of wrestling, didn't they?
Yeah,
I know, which is crazy because it's one of the oldest sports.
Yeah.
So, but that's safe now. That's lacking now. Yeah. Cool. Right. So, let's get onto this lockdown anyway. What have you been doing, Josh? What have you been doing, Josh?
What
have you been doing? Lockdown.
Me? Just working and trying to keep going, to be honest. Just following the orders from the almighty government. Being a good citizen.
Boris. How is Boris? Has anyone heard from him?
He's surviving, isn't he?
He seemed alright on his little speech anyway. He seemed alright.
Yeah, man. What you guys been doing in lockdown then? I didn't leave the house, to be fair. I've been watching Dean's Instagram stories and it just petrifies me. I watched one at Rockefellers yesterday.
I was watching Dean's Instagram and I went for a piss yesterday morning, got up, looked up at my bathroom window and there were just two guys up a telegraph pole just looking. Oh my God, straight outside my house.
It started.
Yeah, shit.
Let's get into it then. Let's get into it. So obviously we're in the midst of the coronavirus lockdown, and you've got a few topics you want to cover, Dean. So we'll fire it over to you, mate.
Personally, lockdowns are what they do in prisons. So let's just get this right. For me, my opinion is this lockdown's illegal, and I'm not the only person saying this. If you go on my Instagram page, you'll see Dr. Shiva, Dr. Patar. These are guys who have. Dr. Shiva has got 4 degrees and a PhD in biological engineering. And they're telling you straight up, this lockdown is pure and simple. It's all about 2 things. It's about forced vaccinating us, and it's about blowing the economy to smithereens. And I really can't argue with that when I start to delve into the science and the documents that have been left for us. But let's set a little bit of context, because obviously I've talked about this for a long time, and a lot of people are messaging me now saying, oh, well, I never thought they'd talk about mandatory vaccines, but you're right, blah, 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 they are now. And I said, well, we always knew. I think it was in 2003, the original UN Agenda 2130 documents were knocked up. And there was a lot of talk of it in them, as well as all this 5G stuff and having it's all under the disguise of sustainability. And then 2015, the UN, which is not an elected organisation, it's a criminal organisation in my opinion, the United Nations, created something in 2015 called the Sustainable Development Goals Agenda version 3. Just Google it, get it up, read it. It's harrowing. So in that agenda they talk about 17 things. They create the image of a utopia for all of us. No poverty, no hunger, great healthcare, great opportunities, all these things that just sound amazing that no one could argue with. So they paint this beautiful picture for you, and then you read the document further, and it goes on to explain how they're going to achieve this. I've got Dr. Shiva breaking this down on Instagram if you want to see it, but basically 14 of those 17 agendas they're going to achieve with vaccination. Now how you can stop, it actually says vaccines stop people going into poverty on one of them. It doesn't. There's no science to say that. That's a stupid comment. So straight away we know there's a lot of fake science being thrown at us. Now I'll just stay on the vaccine issue for a little bit, because there's quite a bit to discuss on it. But basically, if you think vaccines are safe and effective, which is the marketing terminology that is used to market the vaccines, then sound, eat that up all you want. And I ate it up most of my life, but went to Thailand 10 years ago. I was getting vaccines before I went, so I've always thought these were a marvel in technology. But we're going to talk about the curious case of thimerosal. So thimerosal is a mercury compound, and she started injecting it with us a long time ago. And the only studies that they done were in the 1920s, and that was on a bunch of people who were dying of meningitis, and they all died of meningitis. So they said the thimerosal was safe. Now, years later, there was a material data safety sheet, which again you can find on Instagram, released by the CDC, which warned that in utero exposure to this caused severe to mild retardation. Okay, so we already know this is a very toxic chemical. It's a mercury compound. Now, if you were to buy thimerosal, just like order it online and read the tub when it came to your door, it'd say it causes respiratory problems, MS, autism, all these horrible things, and yet we just threw it in vaccines and thought it was safe, apparently. Now, I don't believe for 1 second we thought it was safe. There's clearly more to this. But anyway, they just rolled out with it, and loads of independent science, over 165 studies that I've seen, questioned its safety. A couple of them were even on humans where babies died being exposed to it. So we know this is a very toxic chemical, but yet we spent years injecting it into us. Then it got that hot on them. They had to remove it. JFK's nephew, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he talks a lot about this, and he basically just got rid of it in most vaccines for now, but then he still used aluminium adjuvants. So it's aluminium hydroxide or aluminium phosphate. Now, these are waste products from chemical manufacturing. They're completely free. Don't cost Big Pharma a penny. Now, the reason they put these in there is because without the adjuvant, there's no immune response. So immune response means, or immunogenicity is what they call it, is the production of antibodies to said virus. Now, the problem we've got is, if I inject you with attenuated viruses or genetically modified viruses that don't do what the measles does, for example, you won't have an antibody response, you won't develop measles antibodies. So they have to put the aluminium in there to cause this overreaction of the immune system, or reactogenicity is what we call it. And that's negative. And the science that they're using is like 100 years old. It's 100-year-old science, 60-year-old science. The best method, basically the Donny method. But basically, yeah, so these products are put into these vaccines, and they're administered to tiny babies. But then we need to look at the testing protocols. So I'll explain how that works as well. So if you wanted to get a tablet or a medication onto the market, it would take you years of clinical trials, right? Because they're medications. But they reclassified vaccines as a biologic, right? So these things don't need to go through the gold standard anymore. So what they do is they'll get a vaccine. So there's very few vaccines that are being tested against a placebo. Now we call it the gold study is a double-blind placebo study. Now let's say the HPV vaccine. So to prove the HPV vaccine was safe, they got 2 cohorts, and the other cohort they gave them an adjuvanted vaccine. So that's like getting say they got 1,000 in each group, and a few died in both groups. A few kids just died of SIDS. Well, then they say, well, it's safe because that's about normal. And if 20 got autism and whatever, that's now normal. So what they're doing is they're changing the baseline level of health. Before the 1960s, there was a study that said it was 12% of chronic illnesses in children, and since then we're over 54% in the US. So in the US, children have 1 to 3 chronic illnesses, 54% of them. That's not health. That isn't health. It's better to have measles for 5 days and get a lifetime immunity to something that is self-limiting. So by the term self-limiting, what we're saying is you need to be immune compromised for this thing to kill you off. So when we look at the schedule that we're given to children, the CDC recently lost in court that they can't use the slogan anymore, vaccines don't cause autism, because they'd only studied the MMR jab, and even those studies were heavily flawed with massive conflicts of interest, all industry funded. What they haven't done is ever look at the schedule as a whole. Now, there's something called synergistic toxicity. Now, if I want to give a child an MMR jab, that child should be getting an MMR jab that is being tested on other infants, not on grown men. Okay? Don't go and test the MMR on 800 grown men with another adjuvant in the placebo and then put it into children. At the same time that you're putting in 6 other vaccines. So most of the kids who die of SIDS usually have 5-6 vaccines in the same day. So again, I can show you video footage. It's on YouTube. It's called the Advisory Commission on immunising that it's recorded. It's all this stuff transparent. And the same, is it safe for us to put multiple vaccines in a child? And they're like, don't know, we don't know either way. Well, we'll find out after with the post-marketing data. So make no mistake about it. These vaccines, they're not tested. They are not tested. They're also not tested for carcinogenicity, mutagenicity, and the ability to impair the test. Now, so in the vaccines is neurotoxins, and yet we'll see in neuro development is skyrocketing. 1 in 10,000. At this rate, we're going to be 1 in 2 by 2032. There could be 86, and I believe we're 1 in 2. Now, to say that's because we're diagnosing people better, the rate should have already slowed down, but the rate, it's still going up in a big. So it's not to do with diagnosing people better.
What's still going up? Sorry, it broke up a little bit. Did that there? You said what were the rate that were going up then?
Sorry,
you broke up a little bit.
It's gone from 1 in 10,000. It's gone from 1 in 10,000 to now 1 in 36. I think in the States.
For what?
It's a bit lower in Europe because the States has. Sorry.
For what? Sorry. You said these numbers.
For autism.
Right. Okay. Right.
Yeah, it's mad because when I were at school, when I had homemade vaccines, every time I had a vaccine, I got really fucking ill. I actually got ill, really badly. And then just recently, Roman had his. It's like they squirt some up your nose, it's like the flu thing that they squirt up your nose. So he had that just before. Yeah. So he had that, and then that's when I got really ill over Christmas, and I got pneumonia. He got ill, and I got ill, and then I ended up with pneumonia, which were probably fucking coronavirus.
Well, I'll tell you something about vaccines as well. As it's called vaccine shedding. So if he's had the flu spray up his nose, he can now pass that virus to you, and you can get sick. We know this. This is a well accepted fact. So the MMR is a live virus. If you've had an MMR live virus vaccine, you can't go in an ICU unit because you are contagious for measles. Virus strain measles. Lots of our measles outbreaks, they test people for if it's virus strain or not, and then sometimes don't give us the data. That tells you it's probably virus strain that's caused the outbreak. Now, another thing that scares me about is when we look at the mechanism used in vaccines, we have nanoparticles in there, and these nanoparticles help take things across the blood-brain barrier, which is affected by DNA. This is where all these things, they all link together in a bizarre way. But basically, the blood-brain barrier is not permeable. Nothing's meant to get through it in terms of drugs, viruses, bacteria, those things aren't meant to enter the brain. But when you add a nanoparticle to a drug, it will take the drug into the brain with the aluminium. Now, when we add an emulsifier which breaks down fats and lipids, or dissolves in water and fats, and we add a vaccine, it increases how much it goes into the brain 24. We've got animals. Yes, there's no study in the literature checking what's happening with the damage of these vaccines. Where is the aluminium going? There's no studies on humans. There's a doctor called Professor Chris Exley who is a leading expert in aluminium. He's not a vaccine guy, he's an aluminium guy. And what got him into vaccines was aluminium. Now, he's adamant that when we test the brains of children with autism and Alzheimer's, or adults with Alzheimer's, they're full of aluminium. Okay, so that should be giving us alarm bells ringing. Now, there was a study done on rabbits in 1997 by a guy called Florent, a French guy. Again, just Google it, you can get it up. Interestingly, they've changed the way it reads very recently as well, but I'll explain in a minute. But basically what he did was, he got a load of rabbits, and he put the 2 different aluminium adjuvants that they have, hydroxide and phosphate, and they added a radioactive isotope to it, so that allowed them to track where the aluminium went. After 28 days, one of them was still 80% of the aluminium was in the body, and the other one was 94%. So we detox these aluminiums very, very slowly, and some of us don't detox them at all. Now, with autism, there's a gene called the FHTR gene, I think it's called, something like that anyway. And people with this gene can't detoxify heavy metals the same as other people. There's lots of literature on this. And when you clip their fingernails and hair, they don't have any mercury or aluminium in the hair, but they've got autism symptoms. And when you clip other people's hair and nails, they do, and they don't demonstrate these autism symptoms. Now, Chris actually has been shut down for the research he was doing into autism. He had a GoFundMe page on raising 150 grand, and the government shut it down and made it like illegal to crowdfund for research into stuff like this, which just enhances the fact that they're covering it up. But what he found was when he used silicon, which is what like keeps your gloves dry and stuff, on fish and other animals, he was able to test their urine and find the silicon was pulling the aluminium out. And actually, if you just put loads of silicone in them and then inject them with a high dose of aluminium, even because the fish was showing autism symptoms. They were going into the corner and not acting like the other fish. You know what I mean? So he could reverse it. So that'll do it beyond vaccines for now. Other than what I'm going to talk about in a minute, which is now talking. But as you can see, obviously, there's a lot of research on how dangerous this stuff is, and there's a lot, and that's all the independent stuff. In terms of vaccine compensation in America, the compensation is over $4 billion in payouts. Now, only about 5% get payouts, right? So there's a lot of other people who aren't even going to vaccine clubs. The average person doesn't know what a vaccine injury is, and the average doctor gets I think it's 8 hours or half a day training on vaccines, and I've got more stuff on that. I've got the World Health Organization admitting it, and ask the doctors, in the MMA community, and I've approached some of them, and I've studied them. So, but these are the people administering and nurses. So they get little to no training. They get told, here's how good they are, here's how to administer them. You don't get told how to do a VAS report, which is the vaccine adverse events report. You don't understand what it looks like. So it's clearly a system that is designed to toxify and poison us. What that means one of the tools we use to control the lower level foot soldiers who go and implement these things. But for me, these things are never about money, because the people at the top, in my opinion, create money, and everything goes back to the illegal financial system. But anyway, here's the vaccine documents I told you about. So we knew this, and the media was hinting at it. So when we look at what's going on today, in my version, there's 4 potential events here or theories that we can look at, and none of them are but you by looking back and going and researching your own information. Now, the first one, we'll get over this one very quick, is that everything's true that we're being told. The TV's true. All these experts they're putting on the telly are true. It's a completely random incident, and some fella was eating a bat and he got a virus and he's hereditary. Alright, that's option A. And for me, that's the least likely option based on what I know from my research. So it's all real. It's just TK. Option B is that it is a real biological agent, man-made virus, and it's been relying on this certain agenda. That's even option A for me. Option C is that it's not. There's not even a virus, and it's a complete hoax, and it's 5G symptoms and radiation symptoms that they're trying to cover up for. That's a possibility, but we'll talk about that in a bit. And then the last one is probably where I am, and that's that there is a biological being released, the effect of upgrade in the electric health, and it makes us more susceptible to viruses or other pathogens. Alright? So let's quickly just run through them for them. What are the chances that the mainstream media, who has been complicit in covering up child trafficking by the elite, percent of their funding between big pharma and big telecoms, right? So they're not going to bite the hand that feeds them. They get billions a year from the big industry and what they're doing to you. Right, so that for me is just not. I've already found lots of instances of people going round the world and finding empty hospitals in place, and people news reports of tents set up with all kinds of people queuing up for tests. Some journalist goes down and the next day there's no one there. No one even there to test anyone. So we've definitely already seen some misinformation in the media. And from what I know about the media and the corporate office, it's not to do with giving you the news. It's not other than a narrative. So for me, I'm right, completely right and then off. You just never be able to convince me that all this is just perfectly coincided with all these agendas that we're going to talk about. Not possible. How many coincidences, before it's mathematically impossible? Now, option B is the fact that they've released a biological agent. Now, in 2015, there was a moratorium lifted, I think, on it's called pathogen enhancement, right? And what that means is they fund research where they take viruses and other diseases and enhance them so they're more potent, right? Now, that in itself is a questionable science, isn't it? Now, there's a video on my Instagram with a guy called Dr. Rashid Bhattar, and he breaks down a research paper where America funded, so government grants from the States, funded a Chinese doctor, a female doctor called Dr. Shi, to create this new pathogen, right, which was a coronavirus that had HIV proteins attached to it, and I think a SARS protein or something. So we call it a chimeric virus. So they created this virus, and then 6 months later they sent it to Wuhan in 2015. What happened after that is anyone's guess. So that's option B. Now, I'm not having that option. I don't know. For me, I feel like that could potentially be a controlled opposition thing where they want to leave a paper trail so people think it's purely just some escape virus. So that's option B. So there's some science and there's some government documents that back up the claims that there is a patented COVID-19 virus that they created in 2015. The research papers on Instagram, listen to Dr. Bhattar read through the whole thing. It actually started at the top saying this is a questionable piece of research and it got out it could cause a mass pandemic. So I'm a little bit concerned that that's there as a smokescreen.
Just while we're on that, I'll just interrupt.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the numbers now that are coming out of China? You know, the stats that they're putting out. So they've had they've reported 4 deaths yesterday. That's what they reported. Yeah. Do you believe that that's correct?
I don't know what to make of it because we always have to what is the end game, and I'm surprised that they've done that because unless they give everyone a vaccine first and then they start lying about the death rate going nowhere, that gives the vaccine credibility. So why they do that, I'm not sure. It does make you think, this lockdown's more illegal than before because, to ruin the economy based on an illness or a virus that some people are getting and having no symptoms at all. No symptoms whatsoever. Never mind 71-year-old Prince Charles self-isolated for a week. What about all the other fit and healthy people who need to keep the economy going and keep the world moving?
Yeah.
What about them? Why are we isolating them? We shouldn't be. That's not quarantine. Quarantine's when you hide people who are immune compromised or already infected. That's quarantine. You don't quarantine healthy people.
Isn't that what they're doing? Isn't that what they're doing in Sweden? Am I right? I saw something today about Sweden of they've not gone into quarantine. They've kept all the healthy people out and just...
Yeah, there's no lockdown in Sweden. They're getting on as normal. And what I think is, whatever the death toll ends up being, they'll if we hadn't done the lockdown, loads of people would have died. It's all nonsense. It's all in your head, in my opinion. But I'm not sure on the numbers. When we look at the testing protocols, do you know anything about how they test it?
We're doing tests. They're doing the swabs, aren't they?
Yeah.
But then I think now they're on about something to do with the blood. They use a drop of your blood, and then they can tell you if you've had it or if you've got it.
Yeah, the antibody.
Or if you've never come in. So you've got
yeah, so they basically want to make us get an immunity that we've had this virus. Now, what they're testing for is antibodies. They don't test you for the virus itself. Okay, but it's a test in PCR, the gene enhancements or something. What's it called? I forgot what it's called, but basically there's a couple of different tests that they do, and none of them are particularly accurate. Right? There's research papers that have come out of China that are saying, these are published journals, that the false positive rate is 80%. Okay, so we've definitely got to be questioning the testing protocols. And when you listen to the news, you don't say he died of coronavirus, he died with coronavirus. The language used is very specific for a reason. And that's because there's something called Koch's postulates, K-O-C-H, and then postulates, P-O-S-T-U-L-A-T-E-S, right? And that's like a criteria of causation. And a lot of this shit we're being fed doesn't tick those boxes for Koch's postulates. They're not proven causation between the death of people and the fact that they're testing for these antibodies. If you've had a flu jab recently, you're gonna show positive even if you've not got COVID-19. So everything's set up in a way really to help them maximise their agenda, in my opinion. So I don't trust the testing protocols anyway, and I think the idea of us having a certificate to say we're immune is a load of the arse. A load of the arse. I am not carrying a certificate to say I'm immune. But one of the reasons I think they might be telling us China is doing really well and South Korea is because they want us to all accept the idea of carrying a phone with an app on that tracks our whereabouts to see who we've been with. And this is all getting you ready for the digital you and the smart grid with the social scoring system. This is the start of that. So already people saying, oh yeah, it's working well in Korea. You know, theirs gone right down because they're tracking everyone. And all that stuff. But I'm not down with that. I don't want to be tracked. If I've been in a supermarket and saw some other fella who's got COVID-19 in 6 months' time and the world's back to normal and I'm showing no symptoms, I don't want to be locked up in my house. I want people who can't get the virus to be the ones hiding. That's how it should really work. The world needs to carry on moving. So I'm taking a lot of it with a pinch of salt, to be honest.
Don't you think we've been like so numbers. With the top technology and like obviously we're all on Facebook and all these social media platforms? Don't you think we're already being tracked? Like if we were being tracked, the government's already got enough information to find out where you are and who you are. You know,
but they can't. If they're doing that, they can't use that on you in a court of law. They can't exercise any rights over you if they're doing something illegal, right? So if they are tracking you now, it's illegal, okay? But if you consent to it and get this app and we do it for the greater good, which is always how it's sold,
right.
Now they can use it against you. Right? Now we can exercise that tracking in a court of law, or if they're dangerous for us as a society that we're getting tracked all the time and everything we're doing is being recorded. So that's not something that I'm particularly, I don't like hearing. So like that's an Orwellian state. That's the 1984 state that George Orwell warned us about. Okay. So there's A and B anyway. So we've had a little good chat about them, but let's get into C. So C is the fact that it's just 5G killing people. And I know that will absolutely annoy people and rock them to the core.
Can you explain what 5G? Can you explain what 5G is just before? Like, can you explain what it is?
Yeah, I'm going to get into it now. Yeah, I'm going to get into it now. So, basically, 5G is an upgrade in our telecoms. Now, when we went from 1 to 4G, all those upgrades used gigahertz below 6. So they're called mid-band, sub 6 gigahertz. All right. Now, I still believe that's a toxic. From what I've researched now, I think once you start getting it, so the human body, when you're thinking 13 to 38 hertz. So you are an electrical being. So once we start getting into much higher level across the frequency, across the spectrum, I believe there's going to be biological effects. That's obvious. There's lots of research on extremely low frequencies affecting immune health and how the immune system works. There's lots of research on how radio frequency can act. These are voltage-gated calcium channels and make cells more permeable. So these technologies and all our FEMFs have the ability to interact with our biological systems. Anyone denying that is a retard. They're a retard, mate, right? That's undeniable. You can't argue the case. Okay, they're the facts. Now, what we're being told by the ICN IRP, which is like the governing body for saying what's safe, is that it's perfectly safe based on research we done a while back. I think it's from 1998, coupled with a bit more. They've come out recently and said they've done a review of the literature and they think it's safe, right? Now, that's not science. That isn't how science is meant to work. Especially when you're rolling a technology out that even the taxpayers funded to the trillions. So they're doing this big $1 trillion rollout of a technology that's got no safety studies as per the industry. There's a video on my Instagram of them in a courtroom and being interviewed by a senator, and they admit there is no independent research, there's no industry research, there's nothing. We're just flying blind, essentially. And in a recent Telegraph article, one of the heads of the ICNRIP admitted that it is a social experiment. It's not being set up that way, but that's what it is, and we'll work out what the effects are like later on down the line from these exposures, right? So there's an area for concern because the science isn't there. It's not scientific to say we assume it's safe. We've already had this with thimerosal and vaccines. We know it's not safe.
What is this, a radio frequency or like an electrical frequency? It's
all part of the electromagnetic frequency spectrum. That's what it's EMF, electromagnetic fields, and this is part of what's called the radio frequency band. So I'll give you a bit of insight. Basically, it goes up from non-ionizing to ionizing radiation, right? You've got like radio frequency, infrared, visible light, UV radiation, X-rays, gamma rays, cosmic rays.
Yeah.
So it's like it progresses, right? Now, there's lots of research saying even extremely low frequencies, right up to the bands that we're using on our phones and our microwaves and our Wi-Fi routers, they can all have biological effects.
Yeah.
So doctors like Henry Lai, Jerry Phillips, they've all done research and found DNA damage in tumors in rats. And when they told big telecoms, Motorola, they were like, "Nah, you're not writing that. You're not writing that. Go and write it again." And they're like, "No, we're not writing it again. That's what it does." So this is why they're not funding independent studies anymore, because they'll tell you the truth. That's what they'll do.
What's the difference between that and the national grid then? So obviously like the electrical frequency that we use to power our homes at 50 hertz.
That's only 60 hertz. That's like nothing. That's not going to do anything. So they're already low EMFs. Right. Yeah. Now where it gets scary is with the 5G, because 5G is going to use a band of frequencies 24 to 90 gigahertz. Now a gigahertz is billions of waves per second or billions of cycles per second. So to go from your phone and my phone now using 900 hertz, that's what we're operating on right now, roughly, to 60 gigahertz. That's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 155.
Well, it's to the power of 9, isn't it? A gigahertz is times 10 to the power of 9, so it'd be, so 60.
Billions of cycles per second, yeah.
Now, how do you know that, Josh, you fucking clever bastard?
Sorry, I've got a HND in marine engineering, so we had to do electrics. Killer mega, giga.
We've got all this. We've got this. So anyway, boys, we've got all this science showing that, like independent science, that there are effects of all our FEMF has effects in some way. Now, it's how bad are the effects? That's the question. It's not. You can't say something's safe when you've given them trillions of dollars. They've even spent $9 million marketing its safety, not proving its safety, marketing it. So you shouldn't be calling anything safe that's not got a test to say it's safe. You can't use literature from years ago that doesn't actually look at the technology we're using now. So 5G small cells are going to be all over the place. They're going to be all over urban areas. And the 63 gigahertz band, which absorbs oxygen, it's been proven to absorb oxygen and disrupt the ion or the electrons on the O2 molecules. It's going to be used for future short distance broadband wireless access. So we're going to be sitting in our homes with wireless routers one day with 60 gigahertz coming out of it. That's mammoth compared to what you've got now, with no science backing it up, other than we know it causes that biological effect. It absorbs oxygen, right? So we assume it's not ionizing, right? So let's pretend it's not ionizing. What does ionizing radiation do? It makes you feel really sick. And if you get it in your lung area, right, guess what the symptoms are of radiation-induced lung injury? It's called radiation-induced pneumonitis. It's a dry cough, right? It leads to pneumonia. It's a temperature. It also radiation toxicity also causes us to taste metallic taste. Just type in coronavirus metallic taste. Thousands of articles coming to then. Well, people are saying, well, that's what you get off a flu. No, I know about that. When my nose is blocked, I can't taste very well. But to not be able to taste when you've not got blocked sinuses, that's now a neurological problem. There's a big difference. So when we look at the symptoms that the therapy, they're identical to the COVID-19 systems. Can't argue that. Go on the internet, find it. Now that's not proof that that's what it's a cause for concern. The fact that radiation-induced lung injury is essentially COVID-19. It goes up in 5 tiers. Grade 1 is a persistent cough. Grade 2 is a really bad cough. Grade 3 is like, I forgot what that is, but 4 is basically when you now need a ventilator, and 5 death, and it leads to pneumonia. So we look at those symptoms and we perfectly match other people's symptoms. All right, so it's a fair question to want safety studies. Even more was hit by 5G. You can go and check the 5K. Now, what is questionable is whether it was switched on. So there's a map called Nuclear 5G map, and you can find out if it's live in your.
I've looked at that.
I've been checking it every day, and it's getting turned on now. Yeah, it's getting turned on now, right? So this technology is untested. Much lower frequencies have shown biological effect, hey? And 60 gigahertz has shown very concerning effects in terms of the effect. Hey? So, overall, I think safety studies again is a moron. Whether you think it's a conspiracy theory, it's stupid. Why would you not want people to get this? If you think this is stupid, just leave it, just ignore it. Let other people push this process on. So in Liverpool now, there's a group of us looking to take the council to court eventually. Let these people go and do that work. Why are people shutting them down? They only care about safety. They're not conspiracy theories, they care about safety. Now, I appreciate when you're new to these conspiracy theories, you waffle a lot and you don't always get the facts. And that's okay. It's a process of understanding. You're getting lied to by the mainstream. And you are going to get things wrong. But the intention is to work out what's going on, and that's what's important. We've all got to be plugs for truth. We can't have this idea anymore that someone else is the expert and we're not clever enough to have our own opinion, formulate our own opinions. We all are. If you go and look at the information on anything, you can understand whether it's healthy for you or not. So these things are mandated on us now. Vaccines and 5G, we can't escape them anymore. That's the agenda here. So I don't think it's just 5G. I think there probably is something going on. But basically, anyone who thinks only 1 in 2 now, since 2015, why? If we're this advanced, why aren't we getting to the bottom of it? Instead of finding out the causes of cancer, all we're doing is creating more toxic treatments. Now, there was a research paper done in 2015 by a guy called John Ioannidis, okay? And he basically blew the lid on how fake science is. Most science is unrepeatable. And in the case of radiation therapy and chemotherapy, it was less than 11% repeatable. So, that's 89% of the research that clinicians and oncologists are using is based on fake science. Fake science. That's what it is, fake science. And Dr. Shiva talks a lot about this, a guy with a PhD in biological engineering. The government is testing us to see if we're going to accept this fake science. It's completely fake science what they're hitting us with. Now, there was a doctor recently who done a 10-minute video. It's on my Instagram page. And again, it poses interesting questions. But what he said is, every single flu pandemic perfectly links up with a upgrade in the telecoms. So the Spanish flu coincided with radio waves when we rolled that out globally, right up to swine flu and SARS. They coincided with 3G and 4G. So straight away alarm bells are ringing. Right?
The Spanish flu, that's like 1918, right?
Yeah.
So that's 100 years ago. I think 30 people died.
Yeah, but that's what they're telling us. But there's also more other research where they dug up 9,000 bodies from the Spanish flu, and they found that they all tested. You couldn't find viruses in them like for the flu, but what they found in them was bacterial pneumonia.
Yeah.
And when you go back to 1918, what did we have? We didn't get antibiotics until 1946. So that's why we see. That's why that might have happened. It might have, if it was the radio waves, it could have led to a massive effect on people's immune health, because we've never we've never done that before. They were the first time we had a global EMF frequency. So it poses a reasonable question. This is a reasonable question to ask. Now, there's a book that I've ordered that hasn't come yet. I've ordered 2 books: The Invisible Rainbow, which is about that, how all flu pandemics match up with EMF and rollouts of telecoms, and another book called The Invisible Fear. And the Invisible Fear book looks at the idea of, have we been lied to about viruses? Now, it's widely accepted that we produce trillions of billions of viruses every day in our bodies, right? So what is a virus? Let's just have a quick look at what we're told about viruses. We're told that the strands of DNA and RNA, essentially with proteins on them, and now what he proposed, was that these strands of DNA that they're finding in sick people's saliva and snot are essentially damaged pieces of DNA that the cell is excreting because they're toxic. So now, it starts to beg the question, well, are flu symptoms really us detoxifying our bodies from all kinds of different toxins, whether it's cigarette smoke, whether it's DDT, whether it's fluoride, who knows what it is, but that seems to be a response that we have when we detoxify the body naturally, and the fever's there to detoxify. That's why when you have a vaccine, you have that response, because you just put all this toxic shit in your body that's not meant to be there, that's just bypassed all your natural defences, your skin, your lungs, your stomach, your ears. They've all got special mucous membranes to stop this shit just going from being outside to being able to penetrate your brain and your organs. So when we start listening to a guy like him talk about it, we start looking at the testing protocols and how actually the elites, they're able to, just like they are with false flags for wars like 9/11, they were able to use that as a pretext to go and invade loads of countries. Why wouldn't they use virus pandemics as false flag events to take away all our rights and force vaccinate us and steal loads more money from the economy? There was a $6 trillion stimulus package put together by the American government.
Yeah.
I think 2% going to hospitals and 4% going to the average American. 66% going down the economy. The crap. As you know all about this, Dan. So how convenient that this not only forces vaccines and allows them to roll on 5G, we're now going to blow the economy, which always benefits the elites, as well as making us have a cashless society, which again gives them more control with the digital currency.
Yeah, I think with because I follow the stock market a lot, and there's a guy called Greg Manarino. I'll send you a link to. He's pretty much called the stock market. He follows it. He knows all how the events trigger off different effects in the market and stuff. And whatever this corona is, whether it's real, fake, whatever kind of conspiracy you want to believe, it's been used to mask something that's crazy. Really, I mean, what America's doing now, I don't know if you know about this, but they're actually dollarizing all the other countries, spending thousands of dollars to all other countries to help the other countries' economies. Yeah, so their economy is crashing, but they're printing all this money, sending it to all these different countries. They're creating debt.
Inflation.
Yeah, and basically what they're doing is they're becoming the world central bank. That's what they're doing.
Yeah. That's exactly what they're doing, mate. And for it to be convenient that it's happening right now, I'm not buying it. I'm just not buying that. That's why I'm not having number 8, because too many agendas perfectly come together with this perfect storm. Now, just looking at how easy people take this information that they get given from the mainstream. Have you heard of the Milgram study, the Milgram experiments after the World War?
I've heard that name before. Just remind me what that is.
Milgram. So what Milgram did, and I believe this was what they've told you about this research is a lie. He said the reason he done the research was to get work out why like the Nazis were able to kill all the Jews and stuff, and just obey orders. Now I'll just read you a little thing that I've got up here quickly. The Milgram experiments on obedience to authority figures was a series of social psychology experiments conducted by Yale University. Now Yale University is one of these horrible skull and bones places where a lot of these elites go through, in my opinion. So university psychologist Stanley Milgram, he measured the willingness of participants, men from a diverse range of occupations with varying levels of education, to obey an authority figure who instructed them to perform acts which conflict their personal conscience. Now what the experiment did was it had an actor and someone who was doing the experiment, and he came into a room, he got told that it was a test on their memory, and you flipped the coin but it was rigged. So then if you were the person doing the experiment, you sat there with a big control panel that had voltage of 0 to 240 hertz.
I've seen
it.
I've actually seen this on Darren Brown recreated it, didn't it?
There you go. So yeah, he got the fella conducting the experiment to wear a white lab coat. So he's basically a scientist. Because he's a scientist, all of a sudden now these people were just giving away all day. They literally let the scientists mind control them. So the actor is in the other room getting the questions wrong after a while, so he's getting shot. The actor starts screaming, saying he's got a heart problem. And every time the person doing the experiment looks up to the scientist, sometimes in tears, just would say in this clipboard, you must continue, the experiment must go on. And then eventually the actor would stop being shouting, and these people would go all the way up to 240 volts. They would be traumatised, some of them needed counselling after it. And that was nothing to do with bloody war. It was all to do with how easy are we going to be brainwashed by all this fake science they're about to listen with, whether it's vaccines, whether it's the telecoms industry, whether it's telling us we need GMOs to feed the poor, and all this evil shit. That's all coming from the same organisation, the same elite groups, the same elite families, the money, the people with all money. You certainly got to question what we're being told and what the media is telling us about this COVID-19. For us to realistically think that the solution to this is for us all to be injected, our travel restrictions, not solutions. This is an attack on our freedom. And that Rockefeller document that was knocked up in 2010, page 18, it details in exactly what's going on today. Everything that's happening today is on there. Now, the bigger agenda here is the digital U agenda. Are you aware of that? Does anyone know what that is?
Yeah, so they're going to do the ID chips and track
so
everything.
No, that's digital ID. So digital ID is having an RFID chip. Or what I think it'll be is nanotechnology. So if you type in nano machines, vaccines, what articles you get. So it's only recently that they've now created gold-studded nano machines that can basically interact with our biological systems when injected into us and create an artificial immune system. I'll pass on an artificial immune system. Now, this digital is where you want to be by 2030. And what digital use is all about is basically connecting everything up to the Internet of Things and everything up to an AI grid, artificial intelligence, 5G, smart grid. That's what they want us all up to. And who knows what they want to do with that, but it's certainly something sinister, and I think it's part of a transhumanism agenda. But again, that's my theory of what they want to do with it. But they want to do it because they're telling you they want to do it.
What does that mean? There's a guy called Cyrus. Transhumanism, what does that mean?
It's where you're starting to mix humans with technology. So if you're injecting humans with chips and nanotechnology that has the ability to integrate with their biological systems, you're now talking about a transhuman.
Right.
We're talking about being able to download your consciousness. And again, if we look at that, electromagnetic spectrum, we are electromagnetic beings. What I think the end goal is, I probably best keep it to myself because it just sounds that ludicrous that I don't even want to talk about it because people won't be able to take that information. People will not be able to process it unless they're already deep down this rabbit hole, if that's what you want to call it. But I'm sick of people calling all this stuff theories when there's so much information out there. But because they're not getting given it from the news or the media, who they already apparently don't trust, or the government who they already don't trust, they think it's when folks, what we've discussed today, gents, is facts. I've presented to you with facts and sources that you can go and find and other people can go and find. The theory bit is when we start making a guess at what's actually going on. Now, if you were in a court of law, if you were a judge of the jury, and I was, you're sitting there and we brought out two guys. One guy's a whistleblower. He's lost his job. He's done himself no favours, but he's blew the whistle. The other guy over there worked for the telecoms or big pharma or whatever industry you want to call it. He's got everything to gain. His industry has everything to gain. So people seem to not be able to make that assessment of, okay, who's got motive to lie? Where's the conflict of interest? They just think anyone on the telly who you're told is an expert, that's it. Just completely remove your own conscious mind and let absorb this information, just like in the Milgram study. So that's really what it's all about. It's just about blowing people's mind with fake science and misinformation and making us that stupid and dumbed down. We just can't figure out what's going on. And we're so engaged in entertainment, that people don't care. People are happy to to just watch Netflix all night and then go and get a whatever the next day that they have researched, or it's just, for me now, I think we're at a crossroads between 2020 and 2030. We're going to see huge changes, and Bill Gates talked about it on US TV last night. He said we're going to be let back out in the summertime, but things are going to be very different. And until we can find a way to vaccinate 7 billion people, we're never going to be safe. So people need to wake up. Not even wake up. I don't like the word awake, because all our language is being twisted against us. It's called etymology. People need to become aware. Awake is a funeral for the dead. Yeah, people need to become aware of what's going on. Because if they don't, we're going to get led down a very dark path. And who knows what that looks like. Cancer will be one before you know it. Cancer will be, everyone gets cancer before the 50. Oh, child. What good's that going to do us? Because we want all this, we want faster downloads. The elite want to be able to have nano technology for our benefit. They want to have robots and drones and all this stuff that's going to need all these small cells to operate with, and all this artificial intelligence, all for our benefit. And I'm just not having it, because these same elites, we know for a fact, anyone who denies this again is just not paying attention. We already know for a fact that there is mass child trafficking going on, massive scale amongst elite circles. And if people can't join the dots and say, okay, so if our leaders, like Bill Gates, like the Clintons, they're going on Lolita Express with Epstein and going to his island. We all know what went on that island. Okay? Rape, murder, torture, blood drinking a dream of chrome, eating the flesh. They're not paedophiles, they're paedophores. Very different. And these are part of these rituals we do. Because we might not believe in a God, but they do. They believe in Satanism and Lucifer and Molech and Baal and whatever else, what other names they've got for them. So these elites that we all allow to run our society, behind all these agendas, Agenda 21, 2030, they're behind everything. These same names will keep popping up. That's what they do on Saturday night for fun. Look at the WikiLeaks emails that were released on the Clintons and the Podestas. That's what they do for fun. Okay, that you can look at Jimmy Savile. Look at how close he was. Look at the Nixon child trafficking ring that got busted. That was linked to the Clintons. That girl who worked for the Clintons who got caught trying to bring 500 Haitian kids into America. They're all in jail. Alison Mack from Storyville or whatever it's called. She's in jail for child trafficking, for supplying kids to these elite paedophiles. So you can't have two realities. You can't say, like I was talking to someone last night and he said, yeah, he doesn't agree with anything I'm saying, but he agrees that goes on and he thinks it's just a fetish. You can't have that. You can't sit there and honestly tell me that elite politicians, bankers, judges are all getting together and doing elite rituals, babies and kids. And then on Monday, when they go to work, it's like, right, we've got to get the economy right, the lads are skating, we need to make a better world for everyone else. You can't have those realities. So people need to wake up and stop being like mind-blown and mind-fucked by a bit of science. Start looking at what science you're not being shown and what information you are being, is being hid from you. Because if we don't program our own minds, the government, the media, and big corporations are going to program it for us.
So do you think that like what's going on now then, that the top level is already combined? Like obviously we sit here now assuming I sit here, we're sitting in a democracy. There's a Tory government in power. We voted. You don't believe that happened?
No, I believe the system we've got is completely corrupt. The vote system, the banking system, it's all designed to keep us poor and them rich. So I don't believe in politics for 1 second. I think the whole thing's a big fraud. It's to give you an illusion of choice. That's my opinion. That is just my opinion. So,
don't you think it's just like if you look at how many politicians there are in a British government at the top level, but then they're elected in by the local sort of areas. So they're obviously knocking onto the elite level, aren't they? So these politicians, there's so many people across all these countries. How can they possibly all be interlinked into that sort of cult?
I think you can. So you're misunderstanding my point here. So local politicians are involved. No one's saying they're complicit. That's like me saying that the nurse giving a kid a vaccine.
I'm not saying they are, but obviously Boris Johnson, he leads the UK at the moment from a government standpoint.
Listen,
or is it above him? Are you saying it's above Boris Johnson?
Yeah, I believe there's people who control the likes of Boris Johnson. They're just the puppets. They're just the face of it. They're part of these circles, and they make a lot of money out of it, and it suits them because They've. What you've got to remember, if you look at Yale University, all the major American presidents came through that. So these circles, like, it's hard to assume that they're elected. Can I just ask you something, Josh? Do you believe 9/11 was an inside job or not?
I don't know. I went to Ground Zero and I've watched a few of the videos and stuff, and I seen the beams, that obviously look like it could have been a controlled demolition. And when I got there, first thing I said to my missus was, you know what, this actually is unbelievable now that this was what we all have been said it was. Like, that was one of the first things I said when I was there. I was like, you know what, this could be.
What I'd say to people is, if you've looked into that enough, like, again, in my opinion, I have been down that rabbit hole for many years now, but like I have with the vaccines and 5G, I've got all the relevant info. I don't have any relevant info on 9/11, but I did research it heavily many years ago. You couldn't convince me that those guys flew that plane into them towers. You just couldn't convince me of it, based on what I've seen and based on my own logic and reasoning. So when you think that's what they can do, if they can do that, then why can't they just rig a ballot? That's so easy compared to pulling them towers down. So again, we have to keep applying the logic across each conspiracy that we look at and go, well, okay, well, you can't sit there saying they did 9/11, which some people do, but then say they couldn't rig an election. And again, even Jeremy Corbyn and such, for me, he's potentially part of the cabal. He's big into the Fabian Society, which is, their logo is a wolf in sheep's clothing. So, like, it's I think they're all involved, and they're just Bernie Sanders. They're just a lesser evil. They're just a lesser evil that's presented.
I think, from I guess just a civilian just sat at home in Leeds or Liverpool, it's kind of too big to imagine. Do you know what I mean? Just as a regular person, just a regular bloke, it's like when you talk about all this at once, it's kind of too big to even comprehend. I think that's why it's so overwhelming.
Well, let's wind it back a bit then, because I didn't have all this shit at the start. I didn't believe 9/11 was an inside job for a good 6 months. Even when I was researching it, I was arguing the toss with my best mate, and I couldn't fathom the idea that a government would. I would say our government wouldn't do that to us.
Yeah.
I was associating myself with Boris and all these type of politicians who don't care about me. They're involved, or at least they cover up with paedophilia. So I don't trust those guys. But sorry, where's it going with that? So if we go right back and we look at like these elite families that I've talked about, the big money families, these families go right back to the 1700s. Now this is only a theory, it's not fact, but there's a lot of documentation saying there was a meeting in 1773 organised by a guy called James Wise and Harvard or something in Germany. And in that they apparently came up with 7 agendas, and that's a few hundred years ago basically. And one of them was to set up the US as a new super nation. And these were all elite ruling families in Europe. And 3 years later, 1776, they went over to the Americas and they killed 115 million Native American Indians. They killed loads of indigenous populations so that we wouldn't know how to live off the land anymore. We'd no longer with nature because they already had a mass sort of world for us. So these families, it's no secret. There's a Boss documentary from 1996 called The Money Changers or something. I'll try and get the link for you, but look at how old these organisations are. They're older than nations.
Yeah.
So the cabal that I'm talking about was before America existed. Yeah, they came first. We didn't create this boss modern society and then they infiltrated it. That isn't how it went down. Like, that's what I used to think.
Yeah.
They didn't infiltrate it. It was corrupt from its inception. You only have to look all this stuff up. All these countries, they're no more than the corporations. They're not nations. The corporations. We've all been sold as stock and bonds to corporate entities, the banks. So, it's an ancient conspiracy, and there's a really, this is one of my favourite people to listen to. His name's Michael Telempia, and this stuff goes way back. And again, these are only theories now, but how far do these bloodlines go back? Could they be connected to ancient civilizations, and could they be hiding technology from us? I think they are. I think they're hiding technologies on sound resonance. As we've discussed, everything's frequency. Everything's part of that EMF spectrum that we talked about. What they're doing 5G, it's all linked. We're all part of that spectrum. So sound or resonance has the ability to do anything. Now, I'm not religious at all.
Yeah.
Nikola Tesla talked a little bit about how he coded the Bible and he found physics in there. And I remember one of the things a guy called Jordan Maxwell said is, God said, let there be light. And then later, and it never read to me years later when I watched this Michael Tellinger stuff, there's all this science now showing light is a byproduct of sound frequencies. So even light is, and that's why God said let there be light. So there are some links there that is definitely interesting. And if you look at the ancient megalithic structures, where we've got pyramids that use certain types of stone, quartzite, which is what's used in our mobile phones. Now, it goes way back thousands and thousands of years to South Africa, which is the oldest place where we find these megalithic structures. And there's something that comes out of the earth called the sound of Gaia, which is basically frequencies, the frequencies that come off the earth itself. And the ancients only built these structures on top of these sites. And these sites perfectly align with the constellations. So how did these ancient cultures that were apparently stupid have all built all these megaliths with ropes and pulleys? I'm just not buying it. But then
I got into this a while ago about the sound thing, because I was looking at how they built the pyramids and stuff. Do you know about the Coral Castle? Have you heard about that?
Yeah. I was going to go on to that next.
Yeah, so he built all that, and people actually, there's like reports of people actually seeing him floating and stuff. You know,
with the two cones, have you heard about the cones?
Yeah.
The ice cream cone phenomenon. But basically, and if you look at the Anunnaki, there's like these carvings that are 1,000 years old that look like they've been done with phasers, not lasers. Lasers, light technology. These are phasers, sound, concentrated sound. And they've got a watch on, and they've got codes. They've got fancy codes in their hands. They've got this little box. And it all relates to Coral Castle. That fella did build that castle on his own. Yeah. I've no doubt about it. So this technology, sound resonance, I believe everything comes back to stone and sound. So that's why they call it the Freemasons, masonry, stone. That's why they have the compass and all this symbology. So in my opinion, the real big thing to hide from us is the true power of sound. It can create free electricity or 0 point energy. It can heal the body. There's a frequency for everything in existence. It can be used for free wireless energy. It can do all kinds. But that stuff has been suppressed. And again, that's obviously getting a bit far-fetched for some people. But go and listen to Michael Tellinger and look at the actual physical evidence that we can see. It's all there for us. So yeah, that's an interesting phenomenon in itself.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're going to have to wrap this up shortly, but we'll continue it another day. But where can people look for this information, and where are your top places to be looking?
You've got to empower yourself. So people keep messaging me, right? I put that Dr. Thomas Coward video on Instagram. I must have got 50 people asking for a link. It says his name at the start, so you have to type into Google it. Thomas Coward EMF, and it comes up. If you want to research anything, use Google. Google's a great tool. If you want to look at the EMF spectrum, type in EMF. Just type in like RF, EMF, radiation, health effects, PubMed, and all of a sudden you'll find all kinds of published journals that you just click and read yourself. So I think while other people are asking for the information to be spoon-fed, they're never ever going to really get there.
But that's always that's going to be the problem forever. Like that's society as a whole forever. Like,
but that's
don't you think?
That's the mechanism of control. It's ignorance. Their biggest powers are ignorance.
Yeah,
so if they control up the mainstream channels, if they can control the CDC, big telecoms, if they can control the top of the industry, the regulators of industry, then they can basically feed us lies. And one lie comes from source at the top. The ICNRIP have said 5G is safe. One person, 6 people have decided it's safe based on literature from 1998 or so, right? And now billions and billions of people who are smart are just going to regurgitate that information. They've not looked at any of the science, because the ICNIRP haven't even released the literature that they reviewed, that they said they reviewed. So I think it's on people to start becoming aware and asking some questions internally. Is this the world we want for our children? Do you want your child to live in a society where everything's fear-based? Everyone's constantly being programmed with fear to be scared of each other, stand 6 feet apart, whilst not telling us nothing about how to improve our immune health, eat vitamins, vital minerals. Not one news article mentioned vitamin C on the telly that I've seen. It's helping cure COVID-19. It also cures radiation symptoms. So I haven't seen them talking about vitamin A, which protects the cell from virus entry. I haven't seen anything about ways where we can help ourselves. All I'm getting is fear porn, and that we need to wait for a vaccine. That's it. And that's not the solution. So,
yeah. Man. Now,
thanks for having me, boys.
Yeah, no worries. What we'll do is if you send us a list of like links and stuff, we'll put it in the YouTube description so people can check some stuff out.
So, even if you go on my Facebook now, I've recently just put 70 links to studies, 70 on vaccines, all published journals. Some of them are US court documents where they paid out for brain swelling, autism symptoms. Honestly, they're all official documents. Not one of them is they're all official documents. And I've also just recently done a post before with 10 published journals which all find the biological health effects from low-level frequencies, much lower than 5G, even what we're using now. So yeah, be aware, guys. Stay safe. Don't buy into the fear porn. Drink distilled water or alkaline water because that helps detox your body. Get some silicon in you. Get some iodine in you. Eat organic, whole foods as much as you can. That's the best defence to all this. So yeah, stay safe.
Where can people find you, Dean, as well? What's your social media?
My Instagram is @DG_, and if you go on there right now, there's probably 10 videos, and you'll probably find truth in those videos from everything I've just told you, pretty much. Apart from when I admitted it was a theory.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want people to ask questions of the government. Is there a real coronavirus? We need more answers. Are the death results what we're being told? We need more answers. Where did it come from? We need more answers. Is 5G safe? We need more answers. So yeah, let's get out there, people, and let's empower ourselves with knowledge and information, not ignorance.
That was unreal. Danny, any final words, mate?
Good stuff. No, just everybody, like Dean said, don't buy into the fear and stuff. Everybody, obviously, with conspiracy theories and shit like that, people start worrying and stuff. But just don't buy into this fear that everyone's being said, and just stay safe, keep healthy, look after yourself, look after your family, and we'll get through it.
Definitely, yeah. Thanks again, Dean. Cheers, Danny. Yeah,
I'm happy I got that off my chest anyway, because a lot of people probably don't get my opinion on this. They probably think I just believe all nutty, wacky, random stuff, but it don't. As you,
I think we need to
make that clear today.
I think we need to carry this on because obviously, like, we've concentrated heavily on just COVID, the coronavirus currently, but I guess there's so much more we can talk about.
Well, let's see where it goes over the next couple of weeks, mate. And if people who are listening want to hear more, let's get another one done, and let's get into even more detail. And maybe let's go down the rabbit hole. Maybe let's get into the theories based on the facts. Because what could happen, what could come about, it's pretty sickening. All right, gents.
Right, lads. Thank you very much.
Peace.
Thank you, everyone, for the.
See you later, boys.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, cheers to everyone that's tuned in so far. That was some big numbers tonight, Danny. There were between sort of 70 and 100 people tuning in at once there, just on Facebook alone. So if you want to hear more, obviously subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to iTunes and Spotify. You can find Danny at Danny Mitchell MMA on all channels. You can find me at the Josh Gudgeon. And thanks to everyone that's tuned in. And we'll be back next week with some more podcast action. Enjoy your weekend.
Cheers, guys.